And we are live. Hey, everybody.
What's
Welcome
going
to
on?
Hey,
Single
hey,
Chat. Hey, guys.
hey, what's up? What's
Hey,
up?
y'all. Welcome to He Say, She Say Singles Chat with YLC TV. We are so excited to be with you guys again. I'm
Yes.
Jen. And you guys want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I'll go first. I am Lawrence, and as you can see, I'm coming to you from St. Louis. It's good to see y'all. I missed y'all last week. It's good to see y'all.
Oh,
I'm Thomas Cody from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm glad to be on here another week and share with my brothers and sisters again.
Yes, sir. I'm Elisha. Am I on? Yeah. I'm Elisha Sumo, Atlanta, Georgia. And it's just another day, huh?
Come
The
here.
Lord has kept us. I'm
Oh,
glad to be here
watch it.
with my friends. I feel like it's been a month and not a week. And so I'm glad to be back.
I'm Shonda from Delaware, and I'm super excited to be here with y'all again. It was very devastating not being able to laugh with y'all last week, so happy to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm Dana from Atlanta. So good to see you all.
All right, so we're so excited to be back with you guys. First and foremost, we want to say thank you so much to our visionary leader, Elder Mark Moore Jr., for allowing us. Let's give him a little clap. We love you so much, and we appreciate you for extending your platform and just loving singles, right? So we're going to take a few moments just to share. Everybody share, so we can get everybody in the party today. If you have any single friends, go ahead and tag them. I mean, the reality is we're in the quarantine, so I'm sure they're down for
Period.
the conversation. Most of us are still in the quarantine. Are y'all still in the quarantine?
Still in quarantine.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
still quarantined.
Still in quarantine.
Still in quarantine.
My.
All right. So everyone will take 30 seconds to share. Make sure that all the homies are in the room tonight. Oh, okay. We're at 77. Let's get to 100 real quick.
We can do it.
We can. I
They coming in the house today.
know.
Of course. The bishop is on here. Elisha.
Yeah.
The politician.
The politician, Doc. The politician. I don't respond to bishop, pastor, none of that.
Apostle.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So they're coming in the room. I just want to throw something out really, really quickly. I talked about this on my personal page, but I wanted to get your perspective before we really dive in tonight. So, just hypothetically, hypothetically speaking, if you propose to a woman, you got down on one knee, you have a ring, and you are ready, and you pour out your heart, baby, I just love you, and I just want to spend the rest of my life with you, and she says no, where do you go from there?
That's a good question,
Is
Jen.
Pack it up.
it
Go
over?
home.
No.
It's over.
I can answer that first for the guys. That would be a total embarrassment depending on how I propose. Because I already got a plan on how I'm gonna do it. I got a plan. I want to do so that would be embarrassing. But of course, after that, there will be a conversation. I would want to know her why, and if her why is wise, if it's wisdom, then I will adhere to that. But if it's just something small, she doesn't know if she wants to be here, then that's when I would have to make my exit.
Okay, so you're up for a conversation first.
I'm up for a conversation.
Lord,
That's for sure.
what's up?
I'm with Mark on this one. This is ground. We fighting on that. Like
Said that.
if I done got on one knee, if I have proposed to you, that means that we have been in this relationship long enough to where I have thought enough about marrying you. More than likely, we've had conversations about marriage, and now I'm actually pulling the trigger and asking you, and you gotta think a little bit more about it, or you not sure if you want to be here. Yeah, now you've been done with me before I even asked. So
Wow,
that's
so it's over.
I mean, where you gonna go from that, Jen?
Where do we go from here? Okay. All
But
right.
Thomas said to have a conversation, so you wouldn't want to have a conversation.
Right.
What we got to talk about?
Wow.
So why?
No, you gotta talk.
Why
Doc.
is
You
she
gotta
not
say
like
why.
ready? Like, what are
Okay,
the barriers?
okay, understood. So let my response not be such hyperbole. The initial response,
The books behind it.
the initial response would be, okay, why do you have like what's the hesitation? That's the initial response. So that would prompt a conversation. But before the conversation is even prompted, we know where this is going to end. Like it's going to end with us no longer being together in pursuit. I mean, once again, remember we talked about that on the very first episode.
That is so entitled. Like, I don't understand. That is so entitled.
Entitled is I'm not entitled. I'm not entitled to a yes. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is more than, especially I know me, right? If I am proposing, that means we've talked about marriage.
Okay.
Like we've talked about it where we both have been on the same page. We've been in this long enough to where we know exactly what's going on and we're just getting some things in order to pull that trigger. And then I go to propose. It'd be different if we were talking for a little minute and then I just got overwhelmed with emotion and the lightning bolt and I just proposed. That's a different conversation. But more than likely, you guys have been in the
nonetheless.
True. Now that's a different situation though. That's not a me situation. I would never be in that situation. More than likely, if I'm proposing, we've been in this long enough for us to know. And if you don't, then it's more than likely that relationship is over.
Okay. Anybody
Not because I say so, because she said so.
No,
That's a
that
good
doesn't
question.
me saying, well, I'm not saying no. But if she says no, obviously I feel like there is a space for another conversation. Like I think
Right.
that I don't know, Dr. Shonda, you weigh in on this. Like, do you feel like
No,
go ahead.
I feel like if she says no, try to understand the reason why. That doesn't necessarily mean she wants the entire relationship to be over. Maybe it's just like right now. Maybe she's dedicated to school or she's trying to get a job or, maybe she's working towards something.
Right.
I don't know. That's why I was leaning more toward Thomas's answer where the conversation is open. But y'all talking about uppercuts and whatnot.
But
So,
you're so violent. It's just ratchet and ridiculous. Like
That's because men carry a certain
Mark,
Oh, we got a whole
Elder.
I said I wasn't
Wait
going
a
to
minute,
tell
wait a minute.
everybody
He said he
stand.
wasn't gonna say nothing.
I said I wasn't
uppercut.
going to tell nobody, but I just couldn't keep it to myself.
My God.
Okay, wait. What is this question that you're asking the people of God, Jennifer?
I'm asking the people of God that if for some reason, you have bought your ring and you have set up a ambiance to propose to the woman of your dreams.
Yeah.
You have gotten on one knee and you have said all of these beautiful things. And she says, yeah, put your arm down in the
I'm
name
just practicing.
of and she says no. Is the relationship over?
How is it not over?
I mean,
How?
maybe has some trauma she's trying to work through. Maybe she's saying not right now because sometimes people think that once I say yes to marriage, like we getting after the yes for me, like you start planning the wedding. Like we on go time, right? Like we're starting to get there. So if I'm not ready to, ride on that racetrack, but I'm telling I love you. It's just not right now.
See, Jennifer, even God doesn't like your answer. That's why you got that. Even the Lord hates your answer. You hear that? The Lord himself has descended in the form of 2G, and he hates your answer. That's why you echo. I'm a leave.
No, I'm not echoing. It's not
I'm understanding.
You made the bishop come in the
while I'm
room.
here. I need everybody in here to share this right now. I'm going to bring
Right
that back. And we're gonna cut Jennifer's echo off because she ain't saying nothing. No how, not right now. So we're gonna just mute her in Jesus' name. I'm gonna find whoever that is. Amen.
Don't do that to my girl.
Is that you echoing as well? You can go bye too if you want. That's all I'm saying. Okay, I just let's not forget. All right, y'all. Everybody share this. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Come back.
Didn't the very first episode we talked about women wait for the right guy, men wait for the right time? Now you talking about a man is on his knee and it's not the right time?
No. But you said we said that everybody didn't agree with me. So let's not go there. Y'all went through all the rivers and the mountains and back up and upside the mountain and all of that to get there. So I'm just saying, Dana, what you think? I mean, sorry we had just been interrupted. The man of God came up in here and showed out real bad, but we hope you are sharing this in the name of Jesus.
Bless God for him. We bless God for him.
I don't think there's anything. I think it's men who are ready to cut everything off if the proposal is not accepted. Like, I would just say, just depending on, I guess, the nature of the relationship, just continue on with it to fix whatever may be the hesitation or why she said no.
I think the girls.
Let's flip it, Jen.
What?
Let's flip it.
Okay, flip it. I'm ready.
A man proposes to you. What would be the reason you would say no?
For me, so I've had people propose to me before. I don't want to say official proposal, but talked about marriage before it's time. So I think that sometimes, while I think most of us in the room that we've had the conversation and stuff like that, but sometimes they get to that point before you get there. For example, we've been talking for a month, we've been talking for 2 months, and you're like, you know what, I just love you and I don't want anyone else to be with you, and we go on a dinner and I'm just thinking, we're growing, we're building, and then the waiter comes out and you come up with all of this stuff and you get on one knee and I'm like, I like you, but we're not there yet. So I think that we're both driving the car, but we're going different speeds type of thing. So that's why I say not necessarily. I think you guys don't like the rejection. So I'm pretty sure all three of us ladies on here have been with someone or talked to someone. I want to say been talked to someone who was a little bit more interested than we were, or we wasn't quite there yet. So I think that's a reason for me to say no.
But you see,
I mean, I have to say yes. We have the power.
Do you see the nuance, though? There's a nuance between the scenario that you just mentioned and the hypothetical situation. The nuance is you've been in situations in which the conversation was brought up too early. That's a separate thing. The conversation is different than the proposal.
Guess what?
No, but for some guys, the conversation and the proposal are the same, and that's why it can take you by surprise.
Wouldn't be me.
And the thing is, I think if it happened in a hugely public place, I would probably say yes just to save face. But then, I would be like Joseph and put him away quietly. Like, if he went through all of this trouble to rent a theater and just do all this big thing, I would say, oh yes, and then later be like,
yeah.
No.
But you know what? I think I have the spirit of discernment, and if I feel like you about to go there and we not going there together, I'll be like, Doc, that's not it. Don't you here for it? I love you. Get up, man of God. No, because I think that one of the things we I don't know, we take rejection differently. We take heartbreak differently. We take all differently.
And the thing is, the rejection of the proposal isn't a rejection of him or you. It's just a rejection for now. It's a no for now. Or unless you know for sure that you don't want to spend the rest of your life with this person. If I'm thinking, okay, I really do love him, I just don't want to get married right now, then the no is not forever. What is it? The delay is not denial. It's just not right now. But if I know for a fact, if I can see that there's warning signs, or I can see, we're probably not going to last. If I feel like the opportunity cost for being with you down the line is too much, then I'm going to end it. Then,
for example, let's take Dr. Shonda for example. She was getting her PhD, right? And at the beginning of her program, maybe she met a nice guy and he's like, I want to be with you forever. And she knows that this program is what, 3 or 4 years or something like that. So at Jesus, 5 years, right? Okay, because she's a doctor. Hey man, we say that for every episode. Hallelujah. So, and if she says he meets her, then she's like, I like you, or I'm down, but not right now. Like, I'm into my studies. I don't think that should be an end all be all, because the reality is we be waiting for y'all. Like, we be waiting for y'all. But when the shoe was on the other foot, it seems as if y'all not with it. Crickets?
When you say waiting on us, what do you mean?
We wait for you the whole life to get your life together. Stop being raggedy to want to commit. Like, all of that.
Have a plan, all of that.
No, I get excited. What you talking about?
So you're talking about timing?
Yep.
Okay, so if we're talking about time, once again, there was a comment up there. L Pretty, I think, said it.
I love her.
She said, well, what conversation was not had to get to the point where there was a refused proposal? That, like, clearly y'all are not on the same page. Like, there was a conversation that was not had to get to that point. I think that's the thing that I'm saying. If we had gotten to the point where I was confident in that this is the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with, and she's confident that I'm the person that she wants to spend the rest of her life with, then that's when the proposal happens. If not, then, like, honestly, if that brother, I think you probably need a little help if you thought you were going to go do that and then you just going to automatically get a yes and you guys didn't have the conversation about marriage beforehand.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess we can go with that.
I like 2 points on this. For one, I think if a guy, if you do propose and it doesn't go the way you want it to go, if you don't have another conversation, then it's definitely a pride thing that got in the way. And so she wasn't as important to you as your pride was if you just walk away. I feel like you can, at the very least, you can have a conversation and figure out, what are you thinking? Why is this your decision? And then pretty much go from there. And it's up to where, I don't know if you should go that far, whatever the case may be. Okay, cool, you had the conversation. But if you walk out the door without doing the justice of having that conversation, is definitely because you took that hit to your ego and pride, and you decided that this person is not worth it enough for me to put my pride to the side and have this conversation. That's one thing. But the second thing is, we're talking about this from the guy's perspective. But like, if a woman is waiting, how long waiting is too long to be waiting? Because sometimes y'all be up out of there. It's taking too long. It's been 6 months. It's been 2 years. However long that is, you have that on the flip side as well. So how long? Too long? How long is not enough?
All right. Well, we heard you in the spirit of Android. I don't know what was happening over there, but we got the gist of what you're saying. God bless you, man of God. I think we mostly agree with you. We'll go with it. So let's move on to, I think, most of us have almost the same and different perspectives. That a conversation is definitely something that we're willing to have for the most part. And what happens to the relationship after that is what happens to it. So let's go to the next thing. The next thing is, what is the difference between privacy versus secrecy? What is the difference between being private and being a secret? So we know all of us are here. We're on a social media platform. Most of us have some type of presence on social media. When is the right time to introduce your bae to social media? Go ahead, Dana.
When your name changes.
Thank you.
Ooh!
That part.
That's it.
I've seen so many people like broadcast relationships and even good friends of mine. I mean, I went through the process of planning a whole wedding for her and somebody else, and she married to somebody else today. So, amen, praise God. I think there's a difference between being private and then being a secret. Somebody should know that you're in a relationship. And I think it's most important for you and the person that you're in a relationship to just enjoy it. Your relationship is not supposed to be this showcase for other people to see and enjoy. I think too many people have too many opinions. Too many people don't always want to see you happy. So I think it's important to kind of keep things on hold. I do take issue with people who become secrets, like your relationship is a complete secret and nobody knows anything about, what you all are doing, or that you're even in a relationship. So, but as far as exposing it to social media and all that stuff, save that. Just save it until you
Right.
change.
My
Yes, ma'am.
thing is, like, what is the point of all this? Like, are you posting this person to get likes? Is it validation? Do you want people to be like, oh, she's in a relationship, that's cute? Because personally, I'm not in any type of rush. Like Dana said, until my last name changes. I feel as though as an influencer and like everybody else on this panel, we have a brand that we have to protect. So I'm not posting you on my grid until my last name changes. You might get a little cute birthday shout out on my snap, but yeah, nah, it's a dub. And I have had people take that as like, oh, I'm a secret, but I mean, I'm just a private person, so no.
Aaron said, "We say y'all say that now until we miss the birthday post, and then it's done." The fellas, do you feel the same?
Nah.
If you need somebody to
Nah.
put something on social media about your birthday, then you're missing the whole point of being in a relationship in the first place.
Exactly.
Like everything isn't social, everything isn't for public consumption. And what kind of relationship are you in where you want to put all that kind of stuff on display? The things that are most important to me, are the most significant to me, the best moments I've had are the moments that I've had with me and that person. And they're not for you to enjoy. They're not for you to put your stamp of approval, your thumbs up, your like on. It's for me to enjoy.
Exactly.
So I don't agree. But go ahead. Who else?
I do agree. I think that you should wait until marriage. I believe that Wendy's, the food chain Wendy's, they've been doing this rebranding and they've been doing renovation of their building. And one thing about Wendy's, they shut the operation of Wendy's down, and then you would see a sign that says, "Please excuse our growth." That they're growing, so right now they want you to excuse their growth while they're building. I think to answer the question, the difference between privacy and secrecy is the word discretion. I think that you can have a great relationship, have a successful relationship, but depending on who you are, that you should use discretion. Even Jesus, the Bible talks about all the healings and all of that stuff that Jesus did, but we never saw where Jesus went to the restroom. Why? Because the Bible even understands about his discretion as a human. So I think that the male or the female, I think that they should be secure in themselves to understand that if he can't post me, if she can't post me, that he is or she is accountable to someone else. I think it's a secret when no one knows you're in a relationship. No one knows you're dating. You don't bring them around your family, around your church. No one knows what your life is. I think that's secrecy. But privacy on social media, I think that's wise. I think we should use discretion. So I think the secret piece comes in when there is no accountability nowhere. His homeboys doesn't know that you're in a relationship. His mom doesn't know that he's in a relationship. So I think that there should be some level of accountability somewhere. It doesn't have to be on Facebook and IG though.
That was cute.
Can I say something else?
I'm just telling you.
I want to say something else because I've seen, I am a total believer in like your tribe, knowing your person and all that. But I have seen as a singles leader and, with being able to connect people with one another, I have seen people's tribes talk them out of somebody who was a perfectly good match for them. So you don't need too many people in your relationships. For a while I had a blended family, and I remember telling, my husband's kids and my kids and all of us, I sat all of us down. I said, we're the ones who live in this house. Now we're going to have outside influences. People are going to try to make you think this about so-and-so and this about that. And true enough, it happened. But you're the one who has to live in that relationship. Should people have a say on who you're dating? Should people, even now, when I think about the people that are closest to me that would have a say in a relationship, even the ones that I respect the most, even when I think about like my kids, I will include them in part of the decision, but the decision is ultimately mine. And you don't want too many outside influences to wreck your relationship.
I would have to agree with that, and I think I can, yeah. So two things. One, I can speak from this experientially, and then on the second part of it, the well, it's all experiential. So here's the thing, when you especially people like, the ones who are on this, and then many people who are watching, if you got any sort of anything going on, the moment you post whomever, they become a target. It's to me, this is protection. I like to protect what I care about, and I've seen it far too often where you post somebody and what nobody looking for them, what nobody checking for them, and now all of a sudden you post them and they got their DMs done went up 1,000%, or you done posted somebody and then your DMs went up, because it's the weirdest thing. I don't know what it is about social media, but people on social media are so predatory that when they know you got somebody, they gonna try to come and mess that up. So they now they in your DMs. Now they sliding here, there. They starting something. They DMing the person that you just posted, telling them some trash. Yeah. I for me it's a protective thing. And at one point, it was my own personal policy that if I am talking to or dating anyone, I don't put them on social media. And then I got to a point with a particular young lady who I'd gotten engaged to, that it was, it almost felt like this pressure thing. So I don't know that I ever told y'all this, my friends on the panel. I don't think y'all ever knew that I was engaged. But
No.
in any case, that happened, and there was like this pressure thing where I felt like I had to post her, right? And when I tell y'all, when I succumbed to that pressure, it's like it all went crazy after that. It was so for me personally, it's a
How did it go
protective
crazy?
thing. It was a lot, and I think honestly it was a lot for the both of us, and it started to expose some things that neither one of us had seen. Now, I'm not suggesting that there weren't other things that were happening before all of that. I'm just saying that I saw the effect that the whole integration of other people had on it, where now before there was no pressure to live up to any sort of person that the society or social media thought you had to be, and then as soon as I posted you, people started pressuring you with somebody else that you had to be because you were connected to me. So it's
Right.
I
Or you
say
run
no.
the risk,
I think it's a protective thing.
yeah, and you run the risk of people who try to get close to you or try to get close to your person in order to get close to you. Like
Yep.
I've seen that happen a lot, and a lot of the reason that I'm private is because, and especially when I was dating and my children were younger, is because I had girls, and I didn't want anybody trying to use my children to get to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you
So
guys
do
ever
you
been
just want to
pressured
post
to
everything?
post?
You can't
Huh?
wait till you get it, and you just want to post everything.
No, so the thing for me is I've seen people, I think we do a lot of things in private, and there's also a lot of things that happen in error in private. I don't think that for me, there is not a particular time if we know what we got going on. Now, if we have made a decision that, first of all, I do think it should be at least a relationship, an exclusive relationship, and we have a handle on what is going on. I've seen people do the whole surprise thing and then get publicly divorced. I've seen people protect and do all of these things. I'm a firm believer that social media is what you make it. And I do believe that people are going to try it. But I think sometimes social media highlights the cracks and things that are already there. So the reality is, if you belong to me, or not belong, but if we decide that we're committed in this thing together and we're solid, I'm not talking about somebody you just met. I'm talking about somebody this is my dude. The reality is I have a problem with people who show everything else besides their person. You literally got everything besides your social security number on here. You got your bank account, you got all this other stuff. But then when somebody asks you, are you dating somebody? Oh, that's private. Well, the rest of you is not private. So why is that private? Because you want to be sneaky. So I believe that it does take some discretion. I do believe that people want to be single online and then be in relationships in real life. And no. You're not going to do that because sometimes I need them to know, not need to know that I exist, but the repercussions that come with disrespect need to be dealt with sometimes. So I just feel like if you know that this is my boyfriend and you take it upon yourself to put those googly hearts under his eyes, then I don't know what's going to happen afterwards. You didn't put your own self in danger because you knew that. You saw me in this picture with him. You saw him. And I'm not talking about overkill, right? Like, I'm not talking about you're adult. So I'm not posting you to, I post you like I post the rest of my life. Like, I'm very, for the most part, transparent. I live out loud. Y'all already know that. So for me, if we're ready, I'm not saying that we force anything, but if we're ready and I'm out and he did a good job in this dinner, hey, boo, you did a good job today. And I feel like nobody can mess up what we already got. I just feel like sometimes people overexpose too soon, and that's the demise of their relationship. Because the reality is, you show them now, they're gonna still try it when you marry. The people still go and marry people inboxes.
This
People
is true,
still
but I
go-
think we're saying
My
the same
God.
thing, though. I think we're saying the same thing. Essentially, you're saying there's a certain time, right, that at the point in your relationship where you're feeling like this is solid. I know this is solid, so we're gonna move forward. For me, solid means ring on her finger. That's for me. But also the other parts of that,
Well,
though,
and
that I think
because you've been in that position, Lawrence, where you did have a public engagement. Because there are some people who are saying it's okay to post if you're engaged, and you're saying you have that experience and public, then it didn't work out as repercussions.
exactly, and the second part to that is that I can speak
Why is that?
experientially about is what happened after the engagement was over, because it was very hard for me to really rehabilitate myself the way I needed to, because there were so many conversations that steadily were coming into my box. People texting me about when's the date, not even knowing. So I couldn't really grieve that relationship privately and do what I needed to do, talk to the people that I needed to talk to, because there was so much that was going on that I was getting inundated with because people knew about it. And when your life, like Jen said, when your life is public, when you're out there in the public eye, people know what's going on. It's kind of hard for you to move on to that next step, because there's this history that people know about, and they don't know what happened behind the scenes. And when they don't know what happens behind the scenes, unfortunately, especially for some of us men, it becomes this narrative, where you moved on and you dumped somebody, and it was hard for me to move on publicly, because my life is public. And I think that relationship taught me that it's really a protective thing, to where she can move on the way she needs to. I can move on the way that I need to. It doesn't have to be some nasty public thing where other people can add their narratives to it. So I think for me, moving on is a thing that you have to be able to protect. Even if you feel like this is a relationship that's going to last forever, you feel like this is the person you're going to get married to. I think that you have to protect the possibility. Once again, you're single until you say married. So I think you got to protect the possibility that this person can still say no, and they need to be able to move on, and so do I.
Okay. I'm just saying, if I pop out with somebody, y'all know it's for real. And if you decide that you want to play games with your life and his, God bless you. That's all I'm gonna say. God bless you both, because I'm going to kill you both. Amen. So I'm just saying. No, I think for the most part we agree. I
Yeah.
think that Aaron said a ring doesn't necessarily guarantee the relationship. Trust is the only glue that you have, and I really feel like it takes a level of maturity, and it takes a level of you guys being on the same page. If you're on the same page, and I do think that people in leadership have more to weigh, right? Like, if you know there is a certain focus for your platform, you want to keep that focus on your platform. Like you don't want a whole lot of distractions and different things coming to that. But I do got a problem, especially some of the men of God. I'm just saying, I don't want to start no stuff tonight. But some of y'all get real public until it comes to that love life, and I think it's because you got some skeletons in your DM and some things going on in your life. But we're not gonna go there tonight.
Not tonight.
We're not gonna go there tonight. We're not gonna. I love you too, bro. We're not gonna go there tonight. But I'm just saying. What? What's that? Yeah, what's that?
You're hilarious.
I love you guys. So since we're in this vein, do you believe that social media makes relationships harder?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I believe
because
that
you
when
have all these benefits of. No, go ahead, Tim.
I just believe that when you have someone that is heavily into social media, that they don't understand. Of course, I've dated someone that did not understand why I could not post about our relationship, because at the end of the day, nothing is permanent until you're at the altar. That's just what I believe. And I also had another question for Jen. Is how would you do damage control if the relationship did not work and you and him, you guys were posting on social media? Now, how would you handle that if, God forbid, something happened and you guys are no longer together? How would you deal with that?
So that actually did happen to me. Before I think I met you guys, I was in a very public courtship for about 3 years, which I think I started singles ministry while we were together, but then in like the month before my first event, we broke up. It was very hard. We were, I don't want to say we were a lot of people's relationship goals, but I think we kind of were, and we were very public. I think for me, the maturity in the damage control is that I'm not bashing, he not bashing. We have mutual friends that need to be respected in the departure. So for me, what I did was I deleted everything from my life, and then I kind of healed privately, and I kept going. And then I don't think I ever even said anything because we were long distance. I don't think I said anything for about maybe 8 to 10 months that we just weren't together anymore. I think my premise for the way that I feel about that is I'm not going to allow that poor experience to keep me from loving someone else out loud if we get to that point. So it happened. I mean, because I just chose not to keep, and I'm not saying anyone who doesn't have a public relationship is bitter, but I just felt like if I decide, I don't want social media to rule if I want to post somebody, I'm gonna post them.
Yeah.
If we saw
I think if it happened one time and it failed, then I'm not doing it again, because I've been there myself. And contrary to maybe popular opinion, I just have to say, because this is a Christian platform, sometimes church people, I didn't say Christians, but sometimes church people can be very unforgiving. So while we might break up and separate healthy, church people can be very unforgiving. It doesn't work when they see two and three and four different men, or 2 and 3 and 4 different women on your social media, regardless of the time. It can be 6 months space. Because of what we do as leaders, I couldn't, because if it did not work, I would rather us end it healthy and private than me having to now do damage control in the public. That's just me, though.
No, I agree, but I think that one of the key factors in all of this is that it should be a serious relationship. Like, we were courting, we were talking about marriage. You know what I mean? This person had met my family, my church family, and all of that. So I don't think that, to speak to your point, I don't think that everybody you're talking to and even that you're dating with needs to, or anybody, however you decide to run your social media. Yeah. I think for me, if I meet another man and we decide that this is my person, I don't want to be afraid to love him out loud like I live the rest of my life out loud. Yeah. So it wouldn't be. I mean, I think y'all would lose it if I posted like 3.
You're also talking about specific personality too, because everybody doesn't have that type of personality.
That's true.
Everybody doesn't just post everything. Everybody isn't just open. And what we're talking about too is that, are you going to exclusively now start posting your relationships where that wasn't your thing before? And like you said, you post everything. Like you said you're very transparent in every area. If you'll notice, like some people are, specifically focused on certain things when it comes to posting on social media, because you have to treat it like anything else. You want people to know certain parts of your life, but you don't need everybody knowing everything. Then you also were talking about people who, we know everything about you except who you're dating. You'll post everything. You post your social security number.
Is Dana gone? Is she still there?
He's gone.
Okay.
Well, she'll be back. I think it's the spirit of I don't know. We're gonna cast that spirit out in Jesus' name. She'll be back. But I got, for the most part, of what she was saying, and I do think that at the end of the day, it differs down to your personality. I think that one of the things you said, Cody, really was prevalent. You said it's the difference between privacy and secrecy is discretion, right? Is that what you said? And I believe that's key. That's key. Elijah, you've been quiet, man of God. You got something to say?
I try to hop in for a second, but I don't know what happened. I think everyone is saying the same thing, and it's just, I think we all are in a certain place. I don't think everybody is in the same with God. But all of us do have certain things to where we are exposed to the public eye, and I think you definitely are a little bit more. You lean on the arm of caution for sure. You want to make sure that you can lead a life, and you won't necessarily lose some of the things that you've built, because we know that in our places of influence, it takes all of your life to build a certain reputation, and it takes one day for it to come down. And so we're always kind of looking over our shoulder, trying to make sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's. In the conversation of social media, I think social media has its weight on our lives in more places than just relationship. Our fair brother, who has allowed us this spot, has said multiple times, attention is currency. I can match up attention with the USD dollar and everything else. I can match attention in that same area, because you can get paid because of the kind of attention generate. And that is the era that we live in today. And so it is extremely to tell somebody, just post. It's tough, because the kind of attention that you generate can make or break you. And so we have to be extremely careful. And all of us that are on here are. And so it's honestly about finding someone that understands that I have to post what I have to post in order to respect what we have. I'm going to post in order to make sure that the people know that this is a thing and it needs to be respected. But I'm not going to post for attention. And there's a difference. Some people, I've got to post your shoes when we go out. I've got to post your body when we go on vacation. I've got, like, you getting me in trouble now. And you have nothing. This is not personal. This is not personal. They're examples. I'm just saying. And so because of the attention to generating, it causes an issue, because that's not attention that you should have. And so that, I think that's one of the things, with social media, we just got to be on. We linked I think everybody on here. There's platforms that have been built. There's assignments that we have on our lives that cause for us to be careful when it comes to the people that we are connected to. It's some friends that you don't post that you're with, because when you're with them, there's a certain attention that comes with that spacing. And so it's important that we continuously surround ourselves with people that understand, whatever relationship it is, they just understand the attention that we can and cannot get, from this assembly. And so I think that's important. It stretches far past, romantic relationships, but it's definitely prevalent in romantic relationships. I will make sure that, if we're in a certain place, it will be respected and it will be known, but I will not post in order to generate attention. I think there's a difference.
Right. That's good. I think we can all agree on that. I'm at a point now, bro. Don't post me. Like, you can't post me right now. I'll let you know when you can post, dog. Like, no. Right now.
Because I feel like Jen, I'm kind of surprised by your response, to be honest with you, because you're in the single space, so it would kind of dictate to me that like your image would be, hey, look, I'm single. Even if I
But that's
got
not
somebody, you
saying.
won't know about it. Like that might mess with my coin a little bit. I'm a little shocked by your response.
My coin. No, I think that one of the I think that my key point is he has to be a big deal. So I think that a lot of the things that I do is very authentic. So if there is, because I do believe that a part of the single experience is single and dating, right? Everyone who's single doesn't mean that you don't have someone in your life. So, that's what I'm saying. If I pop out with somebody, it's gonna be a big deal. Like it's not just anybody. It's not gonna be just anybody. So I think we mostly agree on that. Let's go to the next thing. Do you believe in the one, or can you meet someone and they become your person? Like, do you believe in the ideology of the one?
I believe I've been a little bit on the quiet side, so I'll jump out first. But um, I think there's truth to both. I believe that there is, we always talk about that person that God has set apart and prepared and made right for you. And so I do believe there is such a thing as that. I do believe that. I also believe that if you're a mentally stable person, I believe that if you understand, the rules and things of relationships, if you can be with someone, respectfully, love on them, if you have certain traits from a relationship standpoint, and someone else does, I believe there's a long list of people that you really could either date or court or be with based off of certain relationship skills that you have. And so I don't know. I don't think one can take away from the other, but I believe, it has been shown over and over and over, like, oh, this person was made for this person. It does exist, but I wouldn't limit myself and I wouldn't limit anyone else to that. I think maybe sometimes. You said what?
I'm confused. So it's yes or no?
I think both exist. That's my answer is both exist.
Okay.
Both exist.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say no. Simply because I feel like, and I don't know, I'm getting a look from Dana because she's the kingdom courting. But my thing is this, right? Relationships, all relationships, but especially the most consequential relationship that you will ever have is the person that you choose to spend the rest of your life with. When you decide to stand before God and man and say that this is the person. And I think that's the most consequential relationship that you'll ever have. But I think that all relationships, especially that one, aren't something that are a result of some sort of cosmos. Like, I think it's a business decision. That's me. It's a purposeful business decision. This person is good for my life. They add value to my life in a way that no one else I have seen can, in the same way I add value, right? But that's not automatic, right? I don't just show up and all of a sudden I've got it all, like I've got that value that I can add to you. I think it's a decision that has to be made. And once the decision is made, then they become the person that is for you. But I think you develop into that, not necessarily you just meet and it's like, oh my goodness, the stars have aligned, I have met the one. That's when you end up on a knee and she say no. That's when that happens.
No, here you go.
I agree to a certain extent, but I have an example, and so that's why I have to say both exist. For me, I wouldn't want to see somebody and just be like, I just drops it in my spirit, that's your wife. I'm arguing with God even now. I don't want that. I do not. Just confirm it when it happens. Do not do it that way. But that's how my parents got it. You know what I'm saying? That's how it happened for them. They met and my mom felt in her spirit. She said, that's my husband. She never said nothing. A year later, they end up getting married. Things just worked itself out in a certain way. They didn't necessarily marry out of love. They had to develop that aspect, but there were things in each other that they both needed in order to get to a certain place. My mom would have never had children had she not married my dad, because she had IODs in her stomach. because of an abortion her mom had her have, and this is real personal, but because of certain things, she couldn't carry child. But my father has a certain, spiritual currency to where he had what she needed to unlock child. And so I'm sorry, I gotta go there, Lawrence.
Just get real churchy in here. I like it.
Because it's a real.
Come on here.
It does happen. It really does happen. I believe I believe there are certain connections that, yeah, there are some business connections, but I believe that there are certain connections that make things happen in earth. And we even though we're young, we're saved, we're millennials, we do what we do, we get to the money and all this other stuff. But I will never, ever, ever bypass the power of God. And sometimes some things need to happen in order for other things to be objectified in the earth. I'm only here because somebody said yes to God and not to their flesh. And because of that, they entered into a relationship based off of God saying go. And sometimes you just have to go. And so that's why I said I wanted to take it easy, Lawrence, but you took me there, Doc.
I like it.
I'm with you. I like it.
A little bit of both. There's a little bit of both. Sometimes God needs something to happen to deposit something. And I'm a deposit. I'm living proof that sometimes God will give you an instruction, and when you follow it, it will work out for your best. And so I'll leave it at that, but I believe that there's a little bit of both.
I mean, I don't even know what we say after that. Anybody else?
It's offering time at this point.
right.
So your seed is to Cash App, Explore YLC.
Explore YLC.
Amen. Amen. Who else?
I would have to agree with Elisha that it's a little bit of both. And I'm certainly going to have to agree with that, because if there was only one and my one is gone, well, then what am I doing? So I would have to agree that it's like a little bit of both. There are people that you're supposed to be connected to, and that there is a divine connection that occurs with all of the relationships that you choose to pursue. There are some friendships that you have that are supposed to be productive, in the same way that you would have a marriage that is supposed to produce something. So I absolutely believe. Now, when we get into trouble when we start romanticizing this is the one, because the reality is that we all have preferences that may keep us from our one, that may be designed for you, or that God has something that he wants to do for you.
Okay. Y'all, I like this. Y'all, we laughed and y'all just turn it on. Y'all just get so deep and spooky. Come on, Elder Cody. I can call you Elder Cody in this moment. Come on,
Elder Cody. Lord said.
Pastor of Momentum Ministries. Come on.
Oh my. So here's me. I don't believe that there is just one specific person that's created on this earth just for you. Out of the 7 billion people that's on the earth, I don't believe that there is just one. I believe the one is the one that you choose. I also believe that the other parts of the question, should you create what you want? I believe that you can create what you want, but the core values in choosing that person should be intact. So, hey, we're all different people, and we all have different core values that we just won't let up on. Like, I won't necessarily get involved with someone who does not believe in Jesus Christ like I do. That's not going to be a moment for me to evangelize. If we don't agree on that, that's one of my core values. So I think that when the core values are intact, and you guys choose to get in a relationship, I believe that you should create what you want, because even when you do get married, you do know that 5 years from now that she will not be the same woman that you married 5 years ago, and so on and so forth. So I do believe that the one is the one that the man chooses. I believe in that, Proverbs 18. I believe in the he that findeth a wife deal. So I believe that that is the one that he chooses. And then when he chooses that person, I believe that both of them can create the relationship that they desire. I believe that marriage, that's what marriage and relationships is all about. So, yeah.
Y'all are just so whew. Go ahead.
Wait a minute, I add something to what Thomas is saying, because it's not just a matter of you choosing her. You both have to choose each other every day.
Yes.
It's not just about you making a choice, and because I know a lot of people who would choose to be in a relationship right now, but if they don't both make that decision to choose one another every day,
right,
then you're not in a relationship, and you're not going to have a successful relationship.
Yeah, I don't really subscribe to the one. I believe, just as in Genesis, where the Lord said it is not good for a man to be alone, and then he paraded the animals in front of Adam.
Paraded the animals.
He named every animal, and he did not declare that any of those animals was his wife. And then the Lord created Eve from his rib. I believe that we have the power to choose, and that we have options. And if we are wise, I believe that is the power of the Holy Spirit. If we are wise in our what God has for our lives, then we will pick the right mate, and that mate has the power to unlock so much of our lives, so much potential, so much power, so much future in our lives. I'm very, very, very adamant about women being you have to be wise in your choice for a man. Just because he chose you doesn't mean that you have to choose him. Because the reality is, when you choose him, you align with his legacy. You literally drop your name to multiply his DNA. So when you choosing your covering, it's so important. We're not just out here trying to get chose to be wives. The man that I choose has the power to multiply me, or he has the power to suffocate my destiny.
My God.
So I believe that we choose. And if you don't make the right choice, you will live in a life of confusion, and in a life of regret. I believe that we have the power of choice, and that you have to take notice of the paraded options around you, that is paraded before you, and you need to know what's aligned to your destiny and what is not aligned to your destiny, and have the power to say no. Do not name your companion.
Yep.
Sorry, guys.
Jen,
my God, Jen. My goodness.
I'm just saying, because people, they out here, they equally yoked, but they getting yoked up. And you find yourself in things that you are literally, okay, I've been around for a little bit now. Everybody getting married ain't staying married. Don't play with me.
Right.
Come on.
I didn't see some of them male Jezebels and got their dreams killed, and got their visions killed, and got stopped. Don't play. Sorry, guys. Anybody else?
No, I like Jen. You went to a place that's so necessary. Know what you need. Understand what you want, but know what you need. If you have and this plays on what we've been saying almost every episode now. If you have a vision to go to the nations, and you're in your city, and that's a problem for this person is not for you. Because by the time you get to your nation, it's going to be hell in your house. And so while you need to understand, you might want that Coke body, you might want her face to look a certain way. That's fine. Understand what you would like to see, but also understand what you would need in order to accomplish the things that you know that you got to do in this earth realm. So you said, that's a mouthful, Jen. I think Cody is right. We need to write these credentials out and get them to your house.
And you're going to mail a license right now.
I'm serious, because we're around these people now, right? Like we see who's staying together and who's not. You seen your homeboy or your homegirl getting caught up in some stuff, and now they got a ring, but they really in bondage. Like, don't play with me tonight. Like, we got to be careful about our choice. Our choice, who we align ourselves with to walk forward in destiny, is very important. It's very important.
Yeah, I think what Dana said was.
Go ahead.
I think what Dana said was extremely important as well, because one of the things that doesn't often get described in the narrative between Adam and Eve that we've all somewhat referenced was that Eve had a choice too. Like it wasn't just, God put Adam to sleep and took a rib and created her and then just put him in front of put her in front of Adam, and Adam said, "I'm gonna take her," and she didn't have a choice in the matter. No, Eve had a choice as well. She could have said no to Adam, but I think the important thing that we noted that Elisha also said was that there's a purpose. There's something that had to happen in the earth. So when we look at when what Adam's responsibility was, as Jen so beautifully noted, he was naming all of these animals. And then, but when God put Eve in front of Adam and he called her name, she responded to the name. So when she responded to Eve, meaning breath, the thing, he took the rib, which is used to protect the lung that he breathes with. The question is, when he saw that she had something in her that could protect what he was put in the earth to do, she responded to what his purpose was, and she saw her purpose in it as well. So the question is, can you see purpose in this person? Right? There's something in the earth that both of you can collectively do. And the question is, do you respond to what he's doing? And does she respond to what she respond to what he's doing, and does he respond to what she was put on the earth to do? When I call your purpose out, do you respond to it? And if the answer is yes, come on here.
Y'all so spooky tonight.
I don't
Well, because marriage is this, I think.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Pastor Cody.
Biblically, I don't agree with that biblically, because we're on YLC, so I want us to be on point. I don't believe that Eve had a choice in the matter. Adam didn't even have a choice, because God told him it's not good for man to be alone. And so God put Adam to sleep, and then when he got up, Eve was right in front of her, and it was Adam that named his wife. But there was nowhere in scripture that she had a choice. That's the only thing that I wanted to correct on that, but it sounded good. It was good, bro.
Oh my God.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Well, why did you think that God put Adam to sleep?
Because
there was
it's not good for man to be alone.
Wait a second, I'm talking. The reason God had put Adam to sleep was so that Eve could have the same amount of time alone with God and build relationship with God too. She did have a choice. Absolutely had a choice. And that's just inferred in scripture. Because if you think about it, what other reason did he just woke up to this magical surprise?
Now, my thing is, I do believe, just like Jen said, I do believe that women have a choice, that just because he finds you, that doesn't mean that you choose him to be your covering. I'm only talking about theologically with the word, because I think it was said that Eve had a choice. Eve didn't have a choice. Adam didn't even have a choice. God made the decision for him.
I think
it's important, though.
God arranged the circumstances, but God gives us a choice. He doesn't even cause you to choose him. Think about it. The whole thing that we're spending our entire lives trying to do is to convince people that they should choose the Lord. God didn't even make you him. So why would he make you choose somebody else? Why would he make you or why would he make you fall in love with someone else if he doesn't even make you love him? If that's the case, we all in heaven right now.
Right. I got what you're saying, but I'm just saying as far as the scripture is concerned, but not as far as us. I believe that we have.
Here's where I think we can mesh the two, and we can move forward, because at that point in the narrative of the garden, they were still in perfect communion with the Holy Spirit. So when God created Eve, and they had something in them that saw one another and connected, it was a moment like Elisha's parents, right? Where each other and they say, you know what, that's it. So they were both still in perfect relationship. However, they still had a choice in the matter, but because of their obedience, because they knew who they were and what they were created to do, they submitted to that. And I think that's the important piece. So God gives us free will. He does not cause us to choose him. He doesn't cause us to choose one another. We all have choices. And I think, once again, I think it's important that when we see that purpose in someone else, and I think that's also an important point, though, Thomas, because it leans itself to recognizing that there's something spiritual about this, that when we make this connection, it's a spiritual connection. So we should always use the Holy Ghost to give us some wisdom on how we choose.
Ooh, and that's what I wanted to say about marriage is it's more of a spiritual connection than we tend to think about it. We get caught up with, romance and all the things, and we want our preferences without really thinking about what it is that God wants to do in a marriage. And marriage is spiritual. I think so much of culture has like just desensitized us to the spiritual nature of marriage. Or even when we think about the connection and relationship, like there's just so much more involved than just our personal, happiness or the things that we're seeking to get out of it, that God does have greater intentions for our relationships.
I do believe that God has given us free will and giving us options. I do believe that. I do believe that man has the ability to choose his wife, and that in 2020, I believe that she has the ability to be able to say okay or yes, and I choose you to be my covering. Right. I'm only speaking as we were talking about Adam and Eve. I agree with the analogy, but I can't, not as a preacher, I can't say that it's in this word of God that Eve had a choice. She did not have a choice. Adam did not even have a choice. So we can't place what we want to put in the Bible. That's all I'm saying. Theologically, Adam did not even have a choice. God made.
I think when you study it out, and this is only because I've looked into this, right? Like I'm not just speaking out here. I think when you really look into this, everything that happened in the garden was by choice. When Adam didn't choose any of the animals, it was his choice. He didn't choose it, right? Once again, they were both in perfect communion with the Holy Ghost. And because of that, they were being led. So when God created, so somebody put in there, they said that, I forget who put the comment, but they said they didn't have a choice because God created her for him. Yeah, that might be the case. He may have created Eve for him, but Adam, so God's thing was, he said, it's not good for this man to be alone. Mm-hmm. Adam was in agreement with what God said. And when God created for him, he chose what God gifted him with. And Eve did the same. I don't think we can suggest that what Adam and Eve had, since they are our prototype that we often use for marriage. I don't think that we could use them if we're going to say that we have choice and they didn't. I don't see that.
Well, we didn't make them an example. You did.
I didn't either. I often don't even use them personally.
You brought up Adam and Eve. I was just saying
that pay for each other and still mess relationship up.
No, in scripture, in this whole time right now. And Adam.
Okay, all right. We're gonna move forward. I think this is part of the reason that we have so much trouble dating in today, because we are just all over the place. God bless the people of God. Okay, all right. I think we're going to get ourselves together. All right. So make sure you tune in for our Preachers Live. That is at 9:30 tonight. Amen. Praise the Lord. We have 9:30 Preachers. I think, they wanted to give you a commercial into that, but we're going to move forward in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ.
The only name that matters, Doc.
The only name.
We can agree on that.
Yes, sir.
We can agree on that. The only name.
Ooh, okay. The only name that matters. So, in that same vein of, I guess, choosing partners and things of that nature, how do you guys view the dating climate right now? Since we're talking about, since we just finished talking about the ratio of men to women. So I think we talked about this a little bit in our first episode, that there's one man to every 8 women. So how do we, I guess, bring this discussion to that part of the discussion to a close about how are you guys choosing with all of these options, men of God?
What options?
Oh, you don't have options? Okay. All right.
Me neither.
Wait, where's that statistic?
I might lie.
So I think it's important to note that just because there might be one man for every 8 women doesn't mean that all 8 women are suitable mates for the one man, right? Like it's not an automatic that I have very many options, especially for those of us who are people of faith and we believe what we believe. I don't think that that's a very true statement. If we were to look at just people who believe like we believe, that number goes down drastically. Not only does that number go down drastically, but I think there's also some purpose things that we have to think about as well. So it's not always that there's one man for every 8 women. That statistic means that is true for me. That's not true. So I don't know what you mean by all these options.
Okay, that's cute. Okay. Anybody else? Next. Lawrence don't have options. Who's next? I'm about sick of Lawrence tonight. It's like, I love you, bro.
I'm with Lawrence on that. I don't have any options either.
You lied. Now, somebody lied. But somebody lied. Somebody, you better tell the truth and shame the devil. I got deserving. Don't play with me.
Teresa said we got 3 options.
Where?
Yeah, we got 3 on the screen with her.
She don't be these 3. No. Glory to God. She don't be this 3. Bro.
The only reason I said that I don't have any options because I think it's important that when you are interested in one person, that you put your focus in that one person. And so I don't have any other options but the one.
Oh, so you have a person? Are you saying you have a person?
Oh, publicly, yeah. I'll say I have a person. I do have a person.
Oh, okay. Anybody else got a person? Who got a person?
When you talk about,
now, don't leave me out here.
I think when you start talking about the statistics, like in terms of like 1 out of 8 and options and all that kind of stuff, you don't see it in real life.
Okay.
You just don't. I mean, so let's say there are 8, right? Let's just say in this hypothetical world that statistics are always true.
Is that even a good statistic? I don't think that statistic is all that correct.
Even if it was, Dana, right?
I know that the number of women outnumber men, but I don't think it's that grossly out of whack.
But watch this, right? Let's say there are 8.
Sure.
3 of them ain't thinking about dating. The other 2 is messing with, Joe Schmo and somebody else, and they don't know what they want to do. The other 2 want the hood rat guy, the guy who's, always doing something. She wants the bad boy. Then that leaves the 2 who you may never even come across like in day-to-day interactions. I think, it's the options they might be out there, but all of them ain't real options.
So you just skated over what I said. So you don't have a person. Who else? Let me just tell you. You trying to play with me just now. Anyone else?
I'll just go from an honest perspective. Like I'm
perspective. Stop playing with us.
Can I talk? Is that okay? Can I talk?
I love you.
Is that okay with you?
I love you. Go ahead.
Do I have your permission?
You may speak.
Thank you. All right. So I think, and I can speak for myself and maybe someone else, but I think you definitely try to find what you want and have it embody what you need. And so I think until you see that, it's not an option. And I'll just be honest, for me, I really hadn't seen that. And it's been, a few years since I had that experience. So since then, I haven't seen something that I wanted and it embodied what I need for me. And so, you might go on dates, you might go out and things of that nature, but you're not an option. And so I think that's what I want out of you. And so, as my brother said so eloquently, what options?
Okay, I like it. That's cute. Somebody said in the comments, and I want to speak to this. They said that women in the church love the notion of thug life since Lawrence tried to play us a little bit and say that, not us, but play some women and say that they wanted the ratchet man in the street. Is that, let's go to Dr. Shonda. Do you agree with that, or how do you feel about that notion?
I don't agree. But again, I feel as though going back to the whole option thing, it's a matter of what is compatible for you. Because there are 8 females to 1 man doesn't necessarily mean that they're saved or they have the same desires and the same purpose as you. But yeah, I don't believe in that whole ratchet theory, or at least that's not my testimony.
Okay. So Dr. Shonda doesn't want a ratchet man. Dana, do you want a ratchet man?
I don't have a particular preference. I'll take a roughneck. I'll take a man in a business suit. I'll take the GP guy.
My God.
Yeah. But I do know that whoever he is, he cannot be weak. So for me to submit to a man, he just has to be strong. So whether that's strong from the streets or strong from the boardroom, doesn't matter to me.
I definitely agree. I always say that when I be acting up somewhere and I say, don't make me call my husband, when my husband will air this place out, you better air it out. Don't you come in there with no 3-piece search suit. You better be ready. Like, do not play with me. Do not play with me. They don't want a man that'll slam her car door and leave her.
I want to clarify. I did not say that all women want the
but I want him to kill people.
No, you can't say that out loud. What is happening? No, you cannot say that.
There's actually a lot happening.
Oh my God, no.
Okay, he can slay people in the spirit. I know, y'all.
Oh, okay.
Spirit. I want him.
Okay, that was a good cover up. God bless.
And be able
that was a little bit scary.
Now, do you guys see it on the reverse, right? Do you guys see where that statistic is true in terms of there not being very many men? Do you guys see that?
I think it's like Dr. Shonda kind of brought it up. I think there are men in the church, right? But I think that they're not. I don't see a lot of what I want. If that makes sense. I don't see a lot of what I want.
What you want, Jen?
My God.
I want. It has to be a mixture. I love ambition. I used to be, in fact, when I was young in my walk, I used to be the one that wanted a ratchet man or a thug guy or whatever that may be. But I think what I wanted was that man of strength, that man that's respected everywhere that he goes. So I'm really attracted to ambition. I'm really attracted to like the man with a vision and a plan, a protector. So because I am a lot, as we can see, someone, and you can't be loud like me, but even if it's a quiet stream, like, all right, that's enough. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's enough. Like, you gotta have some type of rank in the spirit and just credibility in life for what you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
That's what I want.
So, and you don't see a lot of that? Not in the church? You don't see a lot of that in the church?
Don't make me go there now. I don't want to,
Go there, Jack.
You want me to go?
We out there now. I
think that when we go, I do want to get checked. Sure. Well, I do want to go. I think that, and this is not even a plug, but I think that when we go places like the Young Leaders Conference, there is more of a wide variety.
Yeah.
People, right? There are, because they're not just there for church. Some of them are entrepreneurs, creatives, preachers. There is a wide variety of people. So I think we have a mass coming together. And then with our ratio being, I think it's like for the last conferences that I've been a part of, it's been like 49% to 51% women, 49% men, which is a good almost half and half. So I see more of the kind that I would date there. But I think overall in just the kingdom in church culture, I don't. So I'm not attracted to, people that just want positions in the church. That's cute. I'm not, but that's not me. I'm not attracted to your collar. I'm not attracted to your chain. I'm not attracted to things that are just deemed church culture. Who are you in the community?
Exactly.
Yes.
Can you have a conversation outside of the pulpit?
Yes, Jen, that's good. Yeah. I think church is a weird dating ground, if I can use that phrase. Because we've kind of church is almost like social media. It's a whole nother world. So we have a whole different identity when it comes to church. And sometimes we try to attract or be attracted by certain identities that are not realistic. So I definitely understand that to the fullest, Jen. It's almost like you're not going to get that real person. I heard a couple weeks ago on a live. It's like you can get someone in church, but can you get someone at the mall? You just have that church cred, but do you really have street cred like that? Are you really just fly like that? Are you just super tough because there's not a lot of guys in the church? Or because you're the prettiest lady at your church. So it's definitely the rules of the engagement as far as dating in the church are concerned are definitely real different. I agree with you there.
That's a whole word, W.T. Martin. That's a whole word.
Yeah.
Word of advice:
Absolutely.
don't date where you
That's
pastor.
a big word.
Yeah, nah.
I agree.
Stay out the flock, Doc.
I agree.
Stay out.
Stay out the flock.
Do you guys believe in did anybody else have anything to say about that?
About that subject?
About just seeing what you desire in the kingdom. Well, not in the kingdom, in the church culture.
No, church and kingdom is different. I think.
Yeah, it is. That's why I'm
no, just like you said, especially when talking about YLC, I absolutely agree. Just being connected in the smallest way over the last couple months, and in certain sectors of it, there's a lot of difference between that and going to your regular church or going to whether it be a convocation or a state meeting or whatever the case may be. There's a great difference in who's who. Like it's way different. The quality of people is a lot different. Yo, Jeremy is wearing out this comment. I just want special shout out to him. He is wearing these comments out. But
I want the one that just got released from prison that say "Thank you, Lord" and talk like this, and he carry a gun, and if you play with him, he may shoot you. Yes, I do. Amen. I didn't want that. So,
and so
you'll play with him and get dead.
My God. And so I think the more we can have kingdom gatherings, we can figure out there's a better field. We put it that way. There's a better field than your local assembly. And so another shout out to YLC for being one of those fields, but at the same time, it's not necessarily about that, but that is a perk to areas like that where that the person is they're most likely saved, they live a certain kind of life, most likely you hope, but also they're in more than one spectrum of life, not just huge on church, but media and all these other things. I knew that was coming. Hey, I knew that was coming. And it's okay, Mark. It's okay.
Dang, bro.
I knew that was coming. Mark is in a fighting spirit today, and so I'm understanding.
That uppercut anointing was on a loop today.
It is.
We forget. We love you anyway. We love you.
So for people who actually have been to YLC, we can attest to the fact. No, I'm kidding.
I'll tell you. So go forth, man of God. Go forth. That's my presider. I know how to take rebuke and keep on serving.
Look at YLC becoming Christian Mingle. Apparently, we got all the options. I've been trying to tell y'all. I've been trying to tell y'all. Y'all better come to these single sessions, amen. Okay, we be full. Come on in and see what you see. Make sure your lips are not chapped, okay, and make sure
the single sessions are fire, though. The single sessions are fire. We work really hard as part of the planning team. Thank you very much. We work very hard to provide excellent content and excellent speakers, and we don't believe in just doing fluff. There's a lot of singles ministries out there that have different standards, but we definitely believe in bringing people quality that will enhance their life and help you make better relationship choices, because it's not always about finding the right one or becoming the right one. It's really learning how to manage expectations and manage relationships. So I will say that the singles track is fire. All of our speakers are amazing, and they all add quality. And that is my YLC for the evening.
So we had a question in the comments, and we kind of roll past it, but I want to go back to it. How would a woman, it was for the guys, how would a woman let you know that she's interested?
Show up.
That question for the guys?
Yeah, that was for the guys.
So just show up.
Guys, answer, please.
Show up.
I won't say.
What does that mean?
So I'm assuming that because I saw when that comment came up, and it was kind of when we were talking about being around spaces in the church, and I think that's for me that's like a physical space, right? And I think when I think about somebody who's interested, it's the person who's always making themselves seen. You know what I mean? Like I might not even notice you depending on what I'm doing, if I'm working, if I'm all the other places. But when you constantly are kind of around, like lingering, like at some point I'm gonna see you. And I think that's probably the best way, at least for me. I'm not just. I think we talked about this a while ago, but I'm not partial to people who are not very, but kind of aggressive in their approach to say, hey, you know, I want you to know who I am, because that happens all too often. I'm not a fan of it. But if you're kind of around and I see, I'm gonna ask about you. I'm like, who is that? You know, I've seen her around a few times. She's kind of been in these spaces. So just somebody say show up to YLC. Yes, show up to YLC. I don't want to be rebuked either. I have never been. I am a huge supporter. Never been.
My God.
I'm trying to figure out how y'all even get here. Like, what is going on?
It's the favor on our life. Huh?
Okay, I'm gonna have to talk to the presiding bishop, see what's going on here, because
Let me just say something real quick.
Well, I've been a while.
Let me just say something real quick. As Lawrence has just demonstrated, I'm kicking everybody out. I'm making a call. I'm pushing buttons on y'all. Y'all hear me? Y'all got one more time not to come to YLC. And it's going to be me and you. All right? Lawrence, we're going to accept your apology because you do so on an annual basis. But I need you to go register for something now. Buy a class.
In Lawrence's defense, Mark, he has registered and he has tried it, but there have been things that have kept him. So that's Lawrence's defense. There's no excuse for Elisha, though.
Thank you, Dana. I didn't ask for no help. I didn't ask for no help, Dana. I didn't ask for no help. Let's try again. All right? I didn't ask for no help. If I need you, I'll call you. Tell it. All right? Like I was saying, Lawrence, you get someone to pass. But this is the last time. All right? I just want to say that and drop it off in your spirit. And while I'm here, I need everybody in these comments to make sure that you have shared and that you have gone to exploreYLC.com and bought something. You hear me? Register for something. Buy a shirt, get a master class, something. Do you hear what I'm saying to you?
Something.
Something. And while I'm here, I want to go back to this Eve had a choice thing, but maybe we'll do group text afterwards because I got questions. I got questions that need answers. I don't know. But we're going to bring Lawrence in. Go ahead, Dana, were you saying something?
Yeah. I don't know. You got to
my right hand is itching. That means somebody's getting moved.
Okay, so you were talking about how, Eve is created specifically for Adam. Well, Lucifer was created specifically for worship, and he chose to think that he was better than God. So I think God gives us all a choice. Did Adam and Eve make the right choice in choosing one another? Absolutely. Because as Lawrence said, they were operating in a divine consistency.
So
that sounds
right,
but no.
That sounds real good, but I'm just trying to understand. There's one man.
Come on.
Yes, there's one man and one woman. One woman.
The only reason.
Let's talk about these two people who were.
Okay, let me say what I was saying. Sound man. Don't walk in front of the crowd. What I was trying to say is that there's one man. God, in his infinite wisdom, looks at the one man and says, it's not good for that man to be alone. He puts that man to sleep. He reaches into that man, pulls out a rib, fashions one woman. He opens his eyes, and here she is. You're going to tell me that she had a choice? She didn't have to grow up. She immediately appeared, and over it, just like that, God fashions her out of a rib. You're telling me she had a choice? She could have looked at Adam and said, yeah, God, I know you specifically made me for this, but I'm good. That's what you're telling me? I just want to understand it. I just want to understand it. Can I get with somebody? Your mic is on. I need somebody to understand.
No, I'm with you, Reverend.
Help me understand. It's not good for Adam to be alone. Come here, Eve. Here you go, Eve. She had the choice to say, God, actually, no, I want to wait and see what else you make. That's what you're telling me? Hey, man, I'm going to bring Lawrence back. He's been set down long enough.
Okay, so two things. Number one.
Oh my God.
Don't get booted. Don't get booted.
Number one, okay, just because somebody asked the question, how did I even get here? Okay, so number one.
I'm with the smoke. Let's go. How you get here?
So Jen, just for your information, when YLC started, and I'm gonna say we, even though I wasn't there, when we were in the hotel,
you were there?
I was not there, couldn't be there. I was in the military, couldn't make it. But I was sponsoring people to be there. Every year I've sent people, and I've registered every year, but every year couldn't make it. So that is how I got. I am consistent. That's number one.
You're consistent in not coming. That's what you're saying. You're consistent in not coming.
I'm registered again this year.
You're consistent in
I'll be at the praise. I'll be at the praise break.
You didn't have to do all that. Dana spoke up for you and said that you sold. So you coming in here with all this base and you still can't speak to the culture. That's all he's saying. Don't you come in here like that, man of God.
I didn't speak to it.
Come with the fire. Have you been there? Oh, all right.
Listen, every year it has pained me that I haven't been able to make it.
It should. It should.
Lawrence,
and it
I
does.
was taught as long as your seed was there, you was present. Dog.
Let me tell you, it's nothing like being in the room. We thank God for your seed, but we want you to have your hips in the place next time, okay?
Will you be at the praise break?
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. Do you want me to write out my track record?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, Lord.
Oh my God, consistently not showing up. What about the 50? Okay. God bless you.
That's so funny.
My pressure. All right. How everyone doing okay?
We all right.
This is an amazing show.
All right. So I got one more question and we're gonna finish up. Y'all have anything y'all want to talk about? We had a lot of stuff that we have, but I do want to get to this real quick. Anybody else?
Let's get to it.
Okay. How do we feel about long distance relationships? Especially in the quarantine. Like I think we've talked about the online dating versus in person. How do you feel about local versus long distance?
I think as a busy person, it's actually a blessing. Because there's this unique thing that I think proximity does to us, which is it almost births a sense of entitlement to one another's time and attention. And if you're not necessarily saying that anybody on this panel is this way, but if you're not mature enough to handle that, then it could be tough when you say, hey, listen, I can't be around or I'm busy. So I think distance can be a good thing initially, especially when you're collecting data. It's a good way to kind of watch, but it also shows a sense of intentionality that you have to have in order to continue a relationship like that. It'll test your gangster for real. And I think when you look at those relationships, is this person making the effort? I think that's a little bit easier to see when there's a little bit distance there where it requires you to be intentional.
Okay. Anyone else?
I feel like long distance dating is perfect for me. Because like Lauren said, I'm very busy, but I do think that it does take a level of maturity on both parties. Because if you have someone who may not be as mature and secure, then they'll take that busyness or, that long distance attention as being, you're not making enough time for me or everything else comes before me. So I think it just takes a level of security and maturity.
Okay, so that's what you will prefer. Lawrence will prefer. Pastor Cody, is your boo? Is she long distance or she getting flued out?
I'm gonna say this: long distance. It can work initially. I'm just gonna agree with everything Lawrence said. I'm just gonna agree with everything Lawrence said, bro.
Was he getting flued out?
My God.
Lawrence, I disagree with what you said, Doc.
stupid. Oh my
I
gosh.
disagree with
I'm
Lauren.
trying to catch my breath. Okay. Anybody
I think for the entrepreneur, I think long distance is kind of ideal. Not even kind of. I think long distance is ideal. And if you really do care like that, I think as the lovely Jennifer just said, you will flew them out. You will fly out. You will go and do whatever it is. Of course, in the name of holiness. You take time to be present
In the name of holiness.
with another. Um,
why can't keep
but
it together? Okay.
but
That's
I think you will. But I think long distance is like Lawrence. Lawrence said it perfectly. I don't know why we're trying to add on to what he said. When you are close, it does add that little bit of entitlement. Where have you been? You're always working. You're always doing this. Just because we're here doesn't mean I'm always free. And so I think for busy people, they really kind of appreciate the long distance feel. So yeah,
early right thing. It ain't no flued out sex in holiness. I gotta make sure I say that. Don't be
yeah. I
getting
never
Oh,
said
yeah,
nothing
nobody
about
getting
sex.
flued
I
out.
said
No.
flew
no,
out.
no, no. I'm just saying that the bishop said y'all gonna end up catching a one.
I won't comment on it because I don't want to get kicked out. I feel like everybody got kicked out but me.
The cornfield.
I'm
Kelly
doing good
said,
tonight.
I'm an entrepreneur. Long distance is not ideal for all of us.
But so this ties into the conversation we had last time, which is everybody's work is different. Everybody, the amount that they have to put in is different. I started my company and I'm at floor level, and so for me, it takes a lot of time and work for me. And so, someone that can understand we can have this 1 hour conversation, a 2 hour conversation, or whatever the case may be, that's ideal. I might be shooting with Mark all day long or whoever else. And I might be shooting, it might be a full day of shooting. And so our momentum, huh? He's worried about
Oh,
tomorrow.
you're trying to get your points. Oh,
He's
that's
worried
so
about tomorrow,
cute.
even now. And so I might be shooting, and I have these are engagements I have to cover. And so if you're out of town, I can't see you no way. But if you're here, it's like, oh, you was doing this yesterday, you was doing this today, you doing this tomorrow. Now it's already, it's becoming an issue. But I don't think that's relevant if you guys can communicate and have understanding. And so
I
that's
agree with this comment. Toya just put a comment up. She said, to me, distance doesn't matter, but what is our destination?
That's a word. That's a
Yeah.
word.
I agree with that, Toya. That's all.
May I also add that you need to have a coin, okay? Long distance don't work for the broke. Just saying.
Talk about that, Jen.
Just saying. I mean, everybody's talking about getting flued out, but if you're doing it the right way and in a way that is honorable, you need to get flued out. You need hotel rooms. You need accountability. It's a whole lot that goes into, flying back and forth and all of that. So, I mean, we're grown. So you also have, to make sure that you could be having sex locally too. So we're not going to just say that, but it's a coin. Especially if you're going to try to make a real relationship, that means it has to happen at least every other month. Like real, we ain't 17 still meeting at the convention. So we going. I'm just saying, I'm not waiting every 6 months. So you could just meet. No, I'm not.
Is every other month acceptable? Is that enough? Is every other month enough?
It depends on where. For me, it depends on where you live. It depends on what we got going on. And if the goal, like you said, if the destination is marriage, if we trying to save up, now I'm not doing every other month. And you live in Atlanta and I live in DC. We gotta figure it out. The tickets is $150. Like I don't. If we can't do that, then we probably shouldn't be dating.
Right, I agree.
But if you live
Every other
in
month,
if I'm interested, every other month is too much for me. I'm gonna just be honest. And sometimes every month I might just pop in your city, but that's if I'm interested though.
You said what?
I said, if I'm interested, every other month is too much for me. That's way too long. It's gonna have to be at least every other. It's gonna have to be at least every month. And I may just, take the luxury of just popping up. Of course, making sure that something is established. But Every other month is out of the question. That's way too long.
Since I'm the one that's always putting my business out here, I did date long distance. I
What you getting
did
flued
date
out
long.
now? Is that what you said, Pastor Cody?
I'm just talking what I'm talking about. So I did date long distance a couple of years ago, and we did do the every other month thing. I think you can do it with integrity, and you can do it the right way. So let me put that in here.
Right.
And so what we did was every other month I flew up north. Every other month she flew to Atlanta, and so you still see each other every month. So there's no gap, there's no break.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, that was just
So now she local, because that was before the fact.
I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. All I'm gonna say is I agree with Lawrence.
All right. All hearts and minds clear. Anybody got anything else to say?
I'm good. I would echo though what Elisha said. I think every other month gets a little long for me, so that's about my limit, right? If I understand schedules kind of happen, they get busy, so maybe just this month didn't work out, but it's something's gonna have to move because I'm not gonna go that long without seeing you. Once that is if I'm being intentional about it. How busy is too busy? I think for me, you prioritize what's important to you. So I that's why I said that really kind of shows you how interested this person is. If they are making that effort, they're moving things on their schedule and they're saying, you know what, I'm gonna move this way so to make sure that I see you. That I think that shows you that you're a priority for them. So they'll somebody will tell you what they think about you with how they treat their time. If they don't give you, especially people who are busy, like they got a lot going on, seriously have a lot going on, they'll show you how important you are with their time.
Wayne, can you expound on that in the comments? You said they not being real. It's not good for a man to be alone. Tell me what you mean by that. I want to know what you mean by that. Because one thing I do want to highlight, right, about long distance, because y'all, the men of God have said that they're good with long distance. We don't know what Pastor Cody is doing, at this point.
I'm just saying I've done it before.
Right. That doesn't mean you're doing that. It's okay. It's okay. I love you, man of God. It's okay. But one thing that long distance does require is a lot of communication.
It does.
It requires a lot of openness. It requires a lot of vulnerability. It requires a lot. So just because I'm not in your physical space every day does not mean that you don't have to put forth energy in other places. You still got to call every day. FaceTime, it's a lot that's into that. So are y'all open to that?
Absolutely.
I think talking every day is a must, whether you're in the city or not. We like, if you're serious and you don't hear from somebody in 24 hours, they're probably not as serious as you think they are. Because it is nothing to send text. It's nothing to have a quick call. I'll be honest. If I'm serious about somebody, after I get done with a good day or a bad day, the first person I want to talk to is that person. I'm running to this person to share my day, to get these things off my chest, and they're probably doing the same thing. Sometimes it might just be the middle of the day in between shoots, and I just go, I'm thinking about you right now. I got to do what I got to do, but just know that I'm thinking about you in this moment. And sometimes
every day. You have to talk every day. You have to talk every day. You have to be on the phone every day.
You gotta talk to me every day. I'm not even gonna mention that.
I'm not saying some sort of reach out or hey, have a great day or text. I mean, y'all gotta be on the phone. You gotta have a FaceTime. You have to have
different.
I think the parameter conversation needs to happen every day. But I think the parameter of what that conversation is might change day to day based off of what's going on. If you've had a long back-to-back day, you just flew back in and you're getting some rest, it might not be an hour call that night. It might not be a 2-hour call it might just be I just got back to my room, I'm safe, I'm doing okay, how are you doing? Okay, cool, good night. That might be that night. but there needs to be at least that every single day. If not, what are you
I
doing?
agree. Yeah.
What are you
You
doing?
can try by calling me every day if you want to.
Communication.
You
What
gotta
happened?
talk every day. Yeah.
No,
You
we
can
can
try by
talk
calling me
every
every day if you want to. See what happens.
day. Listen,
I don't know that you can go, especially, I mean, a lot of the work that we do, especially when you do it on your own or the stuff is self-driven, it is taxing emotionally, mentally. There's a lot, and I think that having someone to talk to that can help like refresh you, that can kind of take your mind away from that stuff. I think that's really important. So for me, I think it's important to have that person, not necessarily that it has to be that person, but having somebody in your life that you could talk to is really important. Now, if you are in a relationship and that is a growing relationship, it would be my hope that that is the one and only person that I go to for that, not necessarily all the time, but primarily, right? And that's why I think so that comment I thought was kind of funny, but was somewhat true. It's not good for us to be alone. So there's a point at which you say within this long distance relationship, you know what? This distance is not working for me anymore. I need more. I need more of you. I need acts, and I don't just need you so that you can do things for me. I just need to be around you. I need your presence. That's something that grows with time. So there is a point that I think in long distance relationships where you say it's about time for us to close this gap, and that's when some other conversations start to happen.
is this
But
the
yeah,
same brother? Is this the same brother that says man should not be alone, or is this somebody else? Is this the same brother?
I think that's
No,
The one
I
different.
for
don't know.
Okay, I'm just making sure because those are complete opposites.
no, that's two different people.
That's very
Okay,
different.
I had to make sure. No, no, Lawrence, once again on the money. Like you said, we want to go back to that person. You want to, and just to open up another box is the fact that if I have to go to somebody else, that's probably not going to be a healthy relationship long. You kind of don't want to be in a space where you're going to somebody else. You want to be in a space where this is that person that not necessarily relying on, but it's that you want to talk to them. I want to talk. Let's can we talk for a minute?
But don't you have friends that you can talk to? You have friends you can talk to?
I've got my boys, but it's certain things in my day I want to talk to her. I don't want to talk to them.
Here's what I think.
Listen,
Here's what I think is important. And I think this is more than just a physical, practical thing. I think there's a little bit more emotion and spirituality to this too. I don't necessarily need to talk to you for an hour every day. I don't need to like be on. I don't need to be caked up all the time. Once again, there's a lot on my mind, there's a lot that I'm processing. But sometimes it's good for me to process some things with a good calm voice on the other line, right? Sometimes it's good for me just to hear your voice at the end of the night so that I'm relaxed, so that I can rest tonight. I think that's important. So I don't know. I'm not saying that it's somebody. That's a pen pal. That's funny. So I'm not saying that that you have to be on the phone all the time, that you got to be FaceTiming all the time. Ain't nobody got time for all of that all the time. But I think you make that, if that really shows you how much you mean to somebody, and that's not immediate, right? I think that's something that you grow into over time. And as you grow into that, you start to close some of that distance and a little bit more intentionally.
And also approaches everything too. So let's just say you do go the day, they didn't say good morning, they didn't say all of this other stuff. Approaches everything in that moment. Instead of me being like, why didn't you hit me up? Why didn't you text me? Why didn't you call me? I'm actually more so on the worried side. Maybe your day was super busy. Maybe your day had a lot of things going on. So when I hit you up, my approach is, how are you doing today? Are you okay? Even if this conversation happens at 10 and I haven't heard all day, it's still explainable. Let's not run to the place where I've got to know everything. You've got to hit me up by a certain time, or you're not really interested. No, they could have had a bad day, and they might have been waiting on you to come pull them out of that rut, and you just might be late, and it's just okay. Just go pull them out that rut and have a nice evening. And so, in some of those moments, approach is everything.
I think too that in the context of this conversation, this is your relationship. This is your pleasantry, right? Like this is something that you want to do. So it's not just something you have to do. If I'm the sweetest part of your day, you should want to talk to me. I know I'm a little, I'm in thug life a little bit this segment, but I'm the sweetest part of your day. So you need to be trying to talk to me and just making sure, am I okay? Did I eat today? Like, it doesn't have to be 3 hours long, but I think in the context of a long distance relationship, we need to have some type of context, even if it's, you know what, today was a rough day, I'm tired. Okay, I just want to make sure you're good, or vice versa, and then we go on. But you could try not talking to me for a couple days, and we'll see what happens. Your position.
Once again, I believe communication should happen not just at that, long, distance. But I think if you're in the same city, there should be some kind of conversation every day. If it's a drag and it's a drain, okay, don't talk to them. It's simple. But if that's someone that you're interested in, I don't care if they live next door. You will get a good morning, you will get a good night, or you'll get both. And everything in between that I can afford to give you in this day. You will hear from me. And I would hope that that's accepted. I would hope that that's what you want. And if it's not, that's cool too. We're going to take this other somewhere else. So I think either way, long distance or next door, there needs to be conversation every single day.
So what are some deal breakers? The boss said that we can talk a little longer since we're here. Does anyone have Dr. Shonda, did you have something to say to that? I'm sorry, I don't want to cut anyone off.
Yeah, I was going to say, y'all had me thinking a little bit, and I might just be a pen pal because talking on the phone every day, it's just not my thing. Like, if I'm on the phone with this person every day, granted, I could want to talk to them, but just being on the phone is just, I don't know. I'm thinking like, dang, there's so many things I could be doing right now. I could be working on this. I could be working on that. Like, maybe I'm just not in that place. So maybe pen pal status is for me. I don't know.
No. I think there's a difference, right? Like when you're just like kind of caked up on the phone, I'm not a fan of that. Honestly, it's because I'm that same way. I could be doing this. Time is so precious. Like I could be doing so many other things. Like I could be on the call with people who could be trying to buy my program, right? Like, so that's not necessary all the time for me. But when you're in that phase, somebody put it on here earlier where they said dating is collecting data, right? If we are in that space, we're collecting data on one another. It should be important enough for us to at least spend some time in communication to continue that line of communication and say, you know what, I'm still interested in you. I'm still we're still learning one another. And it's good, especially when you get to that point in that relationship, when you've developed that personal connection, to say that this is a person that makes me feel a little easier when I talk to him at the end of the day. So that's when some of those conversations start to come into play. So I think it's a progression thing that happens.
Yeah.
It's not like, I just need somebody to talk to. So I'm gonna talk to. Some people get into that, but that's not the way I roll.
I want to be caked up.
Right. I agree.
You trying to be caked up, Jen?
Cake me up, Doc. I want to be caked up.
So I'm the only pen pal. Great.
Honestly,
I've never been in a long distance relationship, and I don't know that I would want to. So I don't really have much to weigh in.
I can have this. I can be on the phone talking to you about your day and sit here working. So I don't think you have to sacrifice one for the other. And I've done it. I feel like if you care, you will do it. And I just think sometimes it just boils down to how much you care. For me, and just honestly, if you've ever really, really been in love where you want someone else, you want their good just as much as you want yours or more, you're going to put in some time and effort, and you're going to do all of the things it takes. You're going to go above and beyond. And if you don't, I don't think it's probably not necessarily a problem. It may just be what you've seen. But I've seen a relationship, where they're going to talk every day. He's going to do what he's like. My dad is like that, and I'm like that. And so, if whoever gets lucky. But like Jen said, I'm not running from the cake, Doc.
I would just like to say that Cody has been very quiet. Sorry.
He got him picked up. Did you hear me?
Sir.
Cody's not trying to incriminate himself.
No, because he can't out. Don't play with him. Sure.
And so leave Cody alone. I take up for my momentum brother.
No. He can speak for himself. What you want to say, Pastor? Come on.
I'm all for being caked up. I agree.
Ah.
I believe in that all.
My God.
I believe in communication. I want to say this though, just as it relates long distance, is you choose what you want to do. So I agree with Elisha on that end. You choose what you want to do. You can work and still, have some type of communication with your significant other. Just for me, for an example, I'm a musician. So there's been some times where I might be doing my thing. She might be on FaceTime just watching or listening. Right. That might seem corny to some, but
no,
sir.
It happens. So I would say that you make time for what you want to make time for.
Woo.
I've just never been a big fan of cake, honestly.
I like cake.
Okay.
I am not.
My favorite, by the way.
At 9 p.m. to 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. I want some cake every night. Cake me up. If you not getting, go ahead, Lord. What you gonna say? I don't want to incriminate myself.
No. I was just saying, I've just never been a huge fan of cake. So, naturally or in relationships, right? It's just not me. I think, honestly, maybe that's not true. Maybe my cake is just a different kind of flavor. I don't like to just be on the phone, just kind of nonchalantly talking about oh, and then, like this happened and then this happened. It's just just random talk. I like to talk about ideas.
She gonna kick you up, Doc. It's okay.
What'd you say?
When it's the right voice, the right one, she gonna get you kicked up, Doc.
Let me say this. My mind is stimulated by ideas, by processes. Like when we start talking about, when we start dreaming, out loud.
That's part of the cake.
That's
a part of the cake. Yeah.
That's why I said maybe my cake is just a different kind of flavor. Maybe that's it.
That's definitely part of the cake.
No, it's cake. Drink.
Definitely, Doc.
What you talking about?
Get the right cake. I like
That's
that.
a slice, Doc.
Yeah, maybe it's just a little different for me.
It's a slice, and let's not forget that we're 6 different people, and so how we show our love and how we would like to receive it, and what what attracts us, and the things that get our attention is different. We have 6 different ways to love, 6 different ways that we would love to be loved, and so how we see attention and how we see that cake, is different to all of us.
So let me ask this.
Go ahead.
Let me ask this. So, because I think most of us on here said that long distance was good for us, right?
It will work.
Dana, you didn't. You didn't. Okay.
It will work.
It would work, right? So let me ask this then. When we start talking about love languages, because you brought up we have different ways in which we are loved. Yeah. I'm interested to know how we look at that, right? So for me, one of my things is quality time. So I think that's why I enjoy, at least at some point in the day, being able to communicate. That's one of my number one love languages. So when you guys think about how you best receive love, how do you see that in your dating relationships or the people who are communicating with you, long distance or not?
I mean, I know for me personally, I am an affectionate person, and so cuddling is dope to me. It's not corny. I'm not sitting now. Make sure this AC is on, because if it get hot, Doc, you got to get up. But that's me. I am an affectionate person, and so that's how I choose to show my love.
Yeah, you can cuddle.
What is wrong with you?
Yo, bro, you on it tonight, Mark. You are on it tonight, Mark.
Oh, the politician got sat down.
Grab your Bibles. Go with me to Romans. First of all, it's too much cake in here. Number one, we don't eat all this cake in holiness. That's why the saints got diabetes. That's why y'all got your spiritual feet have been cut off. Because all y'all doing is cake and red velvet and chocolate and vanilla and devils who just hit everywhere. Okay, it's too much cake in the kingdom. That's what God said. Number one. Okay? It's too much cake in the kingdom. Secondly, we don't cuddle in holiness. What kind of church is this?
Oh, you said cuddling, that's why you cut them off?
It's too much. My spirit is grieved. Y'all need to be eating the word. Huh? That's what's wrong. Y'all eating the wrong thing.
We're trying to make you Song of Solomon, okay?
This is amazing.
Eventually.
What is happening?
I'm just saying, eventually. In marriage.
Scripture said you did run well. What did hinder you? I know, Elijah. That's what hindered you. This is about to be the last episode.
No!
Y'all got little Debbie's cut pieces, all this cake on here. I'm caked out. Huh? I'm caked out.
Cuddling. He's trying to
I leave y'all alone for 5 minutes, and I come back and I march on in, and what do I see? Caking and cuddling. You're on your way to hell. That's what you're doing. You're on your way to hell. You're gonna eat yourself to hell. I'm grieved. My spirit is heavy. While I'm here,
but
while I'm here, I don't even have to ask if you all are enjoying yourself tonight, because this, I think, and y'all tell me in the comments if you're right, I think this has been the best episode of He Say, She Say so far. I think our numbers on this one are better than they've ever been. We're right at almost 200 between. See, most of you all can only see the Facebook side. We're at almost 200 between Facebook and YouTube. And so clearly we have hit something that you all want to know. I want to do two things real quick for everybody that's watching. I want y'all to, let me see your hands. Put your hand emojis together. I want y'all to clap it up for this amazing cast. Clap it up for Thomas. Clap it up for Shonda. Clap it up for Dana. Clap it up for Lawrence. Clap it up for our wonderful singers director, Jennifer. Do not clap for Elisha. He said that. Don't clap for him. If you clap for him, I'm booting you out. Stop. Don't walk in front of the prophet. You hear me? Clap for everybody not named Elisha. That's what I want y'all to do. All right? Clap for everybody not named Elisha. That's the first thing, because these, in all seriousness now, these singles that you guys see on the screen are doing an amazing job bringing thought-provoking conversation. Look at the hands, y'all. I love it. That's what I want to see. All shades of hands. I love it. Some of y'all lying, and they take the blessing, but God is good. They're bringing mature perspectives. You're looking, in all seriousness, on the screen, you're looking at people that have been made single by divorce, made single by the grave. They're widows on this screen. They are single, never been married, single with children. There's a wide range of perspective and voices. And this is what's going to make us better. That's why I'm glad y'all are clapping. But here's the second thing, and I'm going to leave. And we got to get ready to wrap this up because the Preacher Talk podcast is coming on in a minute. Jennifer, I didn't tell you to say you love Elijah. Nobody. In fact, why don't you go tell him in person? Why don't you go tell him in person? Because you need follow instructions. Because you can't be a prophet. Huh? You had one job. If you can't follow instructions, you go tell him in person. Why don't you go cuddle with the AC on in person over there in Lodabar? Go on the Lodabar.
Not Lodabar.
No, like I was saying. This is fun. Y'all should have never gave me a net one. This is hilarious. This is better than TV. So number one, shout out to these amazing panelists. But here's number two. Seriously, if you all are enjoying this and you want us to go a little bit further, we're doing a masterclass. We're not going to give you all of the details right now. We're doing a masterclass very, very soon. And if you want to be a part, we've put together a limited number of seats. But if you want one, you need to text right now. Do it now, y'all, for real. Text YLC singles to 555-888. It's right there on your screen. One word, no space. How many of y'all want to be in the masterclass? We're not just going to be talking and debating in the class. The class is about giving principles and strategies on some of these things that are really root issues at what we're discussing. Identifying who you are and finding out your purpose. Single, first of all, is not a sickness. Let's start right there. There's nothing wrong with you because you're single. Single in and of itself is not a punishment. It is not a scarlet letter. You understand what I'm saying? So if you want to be in the master class to really, really, really learn how to maximize your singleness, I want you to do it now. I see some hands going up that telling me you want to be on. I want you to be on, but you got to move now. Text YLC singles to 555-888, and I want you to do it now. We're going to be sending out the sign-up information on this weekend, so I need you to do that now. Somebody said, what if your phone can't text those numbers? Your phone doesn't have a 5 and an 8? What kind of phone do you have, woman of God? I want you to get a new phone. That's what I want you to do. And inbox us if that's not working, okay, for you. Maybe you're in a different country code, and that's why it's not working. But for all of you all that want to be in the masterclass, I'm getting ready to go, text YLC singles to 555-888 and do it now. Real quick, how many of y'all are ready for the masterclass on how to maximize your singleness? Let me see the comments real quick. 30 seconds, and I got to go. 30 seconds, and I got to go. I got to go find 2 more cast members for He Say, She Say. So let me see. If you want to be in the masterclass on maximizing your singleness, raise your hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. I need 200 of y'all in here to talk to me. Mary, I see you, Mary. I see you, Mary. Who else? Lawrence, I see you, Lawrence. Good call. Who else? Evangelist Jackson. Good, good, good. Jessica. Who else do we have that wants to be in the masterclass? I need y'all to talk to me now. I need you to talk to me now. Rakila, Jasmine. There we go. Let me see those hands. Say me. Say I. Say present. Say something. Kenyatta. There they are. Okay. Good, good, good. Because if y'all don't want it, we're not going to do it. We got other things to do. Asia, thank you. Good, 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 good. I love it. So hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Get in the class. With that being said, Dana and Shonda and Lawrence and Thomas, y'all the only ones saved tonight. So let y'all close us out in prayer because we believe God will hear y'all. But because he is a God of a second chance, let's bring Jen back out of darkness, and prayerfully she's learned her it's that red that she got on. That's what it is. Thank you, kind spirit. It's that red lipstick.
Who said that?
We don't do that.
Who said that in the comment?
You in the flesh. That's what it is.
Who said it? Who said it? Say it to my face. Who said it?
That red. That's what it is. It's that carnality. That's what it is.
No, it's the realness. The people come for the real, Bishop. That's why they're here.
Okay, you know what else is real? Hell.
No.
Hell. That's what else is real. How about that? How about that, huh? Lord have mercy. Y'all hurry up and sign up and send in that you want to be in this masterclass. I see you. I see your hands. I see your. There we go. There we go.
I don't have to do it like this.
All right. So Jennifer, what else do we need to discuss tonight before we let people go?
That's it. I think we're wrapping up. I think all hearts and minds are clear.
Okay.
This is a really good show, though. It's a good, thought-provoking conversation.
Yeah, it really was. It was good.
Yeah.
So you think you're gonna leave him out
Who? Answer wrong and see what happens. That's what I thought you said. Now, as I was saying, walk in front of the prophet. Shout out to Dr. Shirley Moore. My mother has been married for over 30 wonderful years.
Yes.
Our singles chat every
Mom,
single
I love
week.
you.
And
Love you, love you, love you.
yeah, I know she's watching. If I be a man of God, I know she's tuned in even now. So, Jen, you are our resident singles director. Just tell the people watching why they should sign up for the master's class. What purpose? Somebody's feeding back, but it's okay. What purpose does training and education and teaching play in the life of a single? I want Jennifer to answer, and then I want Dana to answer.
Thank you, Master, for allowing me to talk again.
Bless you.
Well,
Bless you. Let it be a sweet sound in my ear. You know that. Go on.
In all seriousness, I will say that the conversation that we had tonight is just a glimpse of what we do at YLC. It's relevant content. We speak, of course, from the biblical perspective. And that's why I even enjoyed the display of the conversation tonight, because we do have we want to know what is right, what is biblically sound, and how to carry our lives as a Christian single. So our classes in the past have really been amazing in speaking to all layers and different experiences of singleness, from connecting, from sex, from of what not to do and avoiding temptations and things like that. So we really have relevant content. We are that conference. Like, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a part of it. Before I was a part of it, I was there and I was soaking up all of the information. So you want to be a part.
Did you hear that, Lawrence? She was there. Go ahead, Jen. In spirit, physically, tangibly, reach out and touch.
I got it.
So you want to. I've really enjoyed every single session. I believe in the last 2 years, all I went to was single sessions to really explore the content and to really glean from the speakers. I believe that Elder Stephen Thurston is one of my favorite speakers. He always has a lot of good data when it comes to the singles experience. So yes, all of our speakers. I don't want to start calling out names, but what's her name? Real Talk Kim was amazing last year. Pastor Kim really spoke into my life about starting over, working through what didn't work out. So whatever your single experience is, we don't have a one size fit all approach at YLC. We believe in ministering and speaking to the whole single, right? The whole community. We have something for you.
I love it. Dana, talk for a second because I want them to get on this masterclass. Talk to me because you've done and continue to do so much with KCU, and I know they can follow you to find out more about that. But what is the value for singles, Dana, in putting themselves in environments, not just to see and be seen, but to actually learn and to gain information? Would you speak to that just for a second, Dana?
Well, like I said earlier, we work diligently to provide quality content and helping people build relationships. We don't just pick speakers out of a hat because they're popular. We don't just pick topics because, it seems to be the hot thing. We want people to actually come away enriched and learn how to build better relationships. And it's so important because I think in Christianity, we tend to look at marriage as like a prize for being a good Christian single. So I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do X, Y, Z to be a good Christian single. And then marriage is the reward. And the reality is there's so many other aspects of relationship building that we bring to light. And we kind of bust some of the myths that we have as Christian singles. But like Jen said, it's from a biblical perspective. We look at what we can do practically for what we get taught over a pulpit.
I love it. I love it. And for this and so many other reasons, you all need to seriously, we're going home now. You need to seriously go ahead and sign up now. Simply text, again, YLC singles to 555-888. And you're going to, this weekend, receive the link to sign up. Again, space is limited. So I need to see what your demand is. I need to see how many of y'all want it. I need to see how many of y'all want to be involved and be connected. Okay. We love y'all. We're praying for y'all. I know in all seriousness, we've laughed tonight. We're going to always laugh when we do this. We've had Bible study. We've had great spirited debate. But in all seriousness, for the third time, at the end of the day, we care about you, your family, your well-being, your health, spiritually, physically, emotionally, the whole nine. And so we want you to know that everybody on this screen is praying for you. And we are here. We know that this quarantine, this pandemic affects different people in different ways. And you might need prayer. You might need someone just to talk to. And if that's your case, inbox us here on this page. We have legit ministers standing by. If you want to say, hey, look, I need to be saved. I need to come back to God. I have questions about my faith walk. I don't want to just be spiritual. I want to be saved. I don't just want to be, in some vague, undefined relationship. I want to know God for it. If that's you and you're listening to us, maybe you came to hear about dating, but maybe you've got something in you that is a God-sized void that no man, no woman, no hobby, no side thing can fill. And if that's you, we want you to know you can come to YLC TV. Yes, you're going to laugh. Yes, you're going to be empowered. Yes, you're going to get great information, but you can also come to know God even through your screen. So from our homes to yours, we love you. We're praying for you. We cannot wait to see you again. And we hope that you will text one more time, YLC Singles, 555-888, if you want to be in the masterclass. We love y'all. We're praying for y'all. We will see y'all.